Story 1. Getting over a very messy cheating situation. Can't stop judging myself for not bailing sooner. Any thoughts or advice greatly appreciated. Background: I met wife in 2018. I was hyper dating at the time, so I got really good at dating around. Body counting. I was in therapy. We hooked up for the better part of a year until late 2019, when I had definitely caught feels and wanted to try going back to exclusivity again. I brought it up with wife, came clean on all of my relationships. Throughout the time we were together, wife had a good male friend, let's call him James, who happened to be the husband of one of her best friends from high school. They would take trips together every so often, go to cosplay type events, and get drinks when he visited. It seemed like a fairly strange situation, but I didn't want to be controlling. It was also so public that I assumed if there was anything more substantial, the friend group would already have done something. After we became exclusive, I asked her point blank if there was anything. She denied it, saying something like there might have been something at some point. But it never materialized, so on we went. To make the situation even more screwed up, James and her best friend had an open marriage. I would later learn that starting around 2015, James and wife had asked for permission to hook up. Her best friend didn't feel comfortable, given that she was a good friend. She was asked multiple times by both parties. In 2017, her best friend left for a 2-year-long graduate, workshop-type program, and James and wife began what would become a 2-year affair. They would still all socialize. I met both James and wife at parties. I found out about this in December of 2019. Something still didn't feel quite right. We had watched a movie and she left her laptop on. So I looked at the photo reel and quickly had my fears confirmed. I confronted her, and so started a week-long truth trickle. The situation was that since they didn't have formal permission, their interactions were non-penetrative sex, and pretty much everything else sexting, mutual touching, dry humping. I do believe she was honest at this point. As a condition of keeping the relationship going, I asked that she start therapy. I very much wanted her to tell her best friend and own it, having found that radical honesty was the only thing that really worked for me and my own healing. I also may have felt that I was owed a comeuppance for past behavior. I think what really happened is that, without being aware of it, the codependency kicked in and I made it my mission to solve her pain and try to help her heal. There was also still real chemistry. Then of course COVID happened. The next year was mostly stable, and I was genuinely happy, though probably subsuming a lot of pain, shame. Her best friend found out about the situation in late 2020. She caught James again going outside the bounds of their open arrangement, and he confessed to everything. They split up soon thereafter, and multiple friendships were blown up. It came to a head for me in late 2022, when I felt like I was observing a lot of similar behaviors by wife: elevated drinking, low boundaries with friends, planning trips, and not being super sensitive to my feelings around it. We broke up 2 months ago, and since then I've learned more about James. He was emotionally abusive with other women and throughout the affair had tried to convince her girlfriend to have children. Since the affair, her best friend has also transitioned and is now a gay man who is only interested in gay men, so that it never happens to them again. Where I'm at is still in therapy, stable job, and having more trouble now that I look back on this and feel like I should have. 1. Found out sooner, and 2. Gotten out of the relationship sooner. I'm really just looking for any advice on what people do to handle the feelings. I'm running 5 miles 4 to 5 times a week, joined a gym, making new friends, and slowly accepting that I deserve someone much better for me than what I experienced. Do I share this information with anyone in wife's family? Our mutual friends? How long do I maintain NC? Is there any chance of even having a cordial friendship with wife? Thoughts, support, and advice very greatly appreciated. Hope everyone is doing well. Reader comment: whatever you do, do not pursue anyone in from that friend's circle. Original poster: you mean romantically or cut off contact? Reader comment: romantically. Original poster: yeah, no chance of that happening. What's your reasoning though, out of curiosity? Story 2. WW and her shame. Lots of shame. D-Day was 5 years ago. She was plenty regretful and guilty about her affair and did all the right things initially, but I felt that I just couldn't get over it, so I decided to divorce her within a month after finding out. 5 years later we reconnected and now trying to reconcile. This divorce was obviously a major turning point in my own life, but unknown to me it was also deeply traumatic for her. She cut off all her friends from her life because they encouraged her affair when it was happening. Neither of us have any family to rely on. Thankfully, I had a lot of people unexpectedly support and stand by me during this lowest period of my life. I also had 2 of my lifelong best friends who also supported me in everything. She on the other hand sank in her shame and pushed away everyone from her life. She was also completely and truly alone for the first time in her life. She's admitted to doing some really dark things during this period. like staring at walls for hours, filling up entire notebooks by rewriting "I'm sorry" over and over, not sleeping for 48 hours straight. I also know that she didn't show up to work at all and was fired after a few weeks. In this period of turmoil, she somehow found her way to an ashram, which, in case you don't know, is apparently a place of spiritual learning. She basically poured her heart out in front of a counselor there and told them that she hated who she was and she wanted to be a better person. Now, they did try to help her in their own way, I'll give them that. But you have to keep in mind that the counselors here are not trained in psychology but in religion and philosophy. A lot of their views on mental health are not aligned with our current scientific understanding of psychology, and their ways and methods of healing are unconventional to say the least. They had some sort of support group for sexually dysfunctional people, which included sex addicts, PORN addicts, and even a convicted rapist. They convinced her that unless she can confess everything about her affair down to the smallest detail in front of a room full of these people, it means she still doesn't want to part with her memories, and they still hold value to her. She almost fainted the first time she tried it. But nobody helped her, and they made her do it again the next day. When she asked for help with painful and traumatic flashbacks of her affair, she was given meditation training and asked to go through her entire affair in her head. They told her the day she went through it all without breaking down, she will have conquered her intrusive thoughts. She did this every day for 6 months before succeeding once. She admitted that it made her want to throw up every time, so eventually she started doing it first thing in the morning so there would be nothing in her stomach to throw up. There's lots of examples of this sort of healing therapy and personality development exercises. They advocated that I can honestly go on and on about, but the crux of it is that they all were incredibly punishing towards her and served only to further increase her shame towards her actions. I have never heard of shame being used to make someone a better person. Isn't shame an undesirable thing that hinders progress? I think forcing her to relive her shame over and over that way was harmful to her and is against every principle of recovery and healing that I have read about. I see in her every action how much enormous shame she still carries and how she almost talks about it like her shame is a positive thing. I mean, this is someone who was so affected by watching a movie scene involving infidelity that she couldn't look in my eyes for the rest of the day, who still feels so ashamed and guilty of her actions that she still can't bring herself to say that she wants me to be in a monogamous relationship with her only and keeps offering hall passes, even though deep down she and I both know it's not what she wants. What really bugs me is how much of her remorse is rooted in this shame. I can't even separate the two. She has gone above and beyond in every single one of her actions and reactions during reconciliation. On my request, she is now in conversation with her therapist about her toxic levels of shame, and hopefully she will be able to deal with all that in a healthy manner. But selfishly, I also feel scared after I asked her to talk to her therapist. What if she was just with me because her overwhelming shame made her unable to move on? What if she finds more healthy outlets of shame and decides the hard work of reconciliation is just not worth it anymore? What if her remorse is so deeply rooted in her shame that she stops being remorseful once she really resolves it in therapy? I know it's selfish and cruel to think this way, but I really can't help it. Reader comment, you may be projecting your fears on her. From her choice of healing methods to you wanting her to see a therapist. Are you seeing a therapist because I think it will be beneficial for you? I'm not sure you have healed or dealt with the affair. It's more like you moved on out of sight, out of mind, and that just won't work. I'm not saying she doesn't have demons to deal with, but group discussion isn't inherently bad. They can be freeing and a step to forgiving yourself. Original poster, I am in therapy, yes. I don't mind a good group discussion, but I do take issue with how they insisted she confess the details of her affair, and how she was expected to just get back up on her own after she broke down in front of that crowd and nobody even checked up on her from what she told me. That just sounds cruel instead of healing, and it's not like it helped her much either, considering how big of a roadblock her shame is to our reconciliation. Edit. I also seem to remember her telling me that in her subsequent sessions with that group she could never open up again to the degree that she wanted, because the moment she tried to speak they would look at her and she would feel so ashamed that she couldn't even form words. Clearly their way of group discussion didn't achieve whatever they thought it would have achieved. But that's not the point of this post. I admit that I am not particularly fond of institutions that don't follow hard scientifically proven methods because of certain bad past experiences with such institutions. I admit I am biased against them. But what happened, happened. This is not really what the post was about. This post was more about my insecurities and confusions regarding the intense amount of shame that she carries, and the worry that her shame will be a barrier to reconciliation, regardless of where this shame came from and whether this ashram had any role to play in it. Story 3. The worst part of it is lying. I'm going to summarize a lot and go to certain key points that I want to emphasize. I meet in Europe in Feb a girl, and after 2 months of being F-buddy she asks me why I don't ask her to date. I agree to give it a try and see how things go, and after a few days we agree to be exclusive, with her leaving someone else she was also dating. From the first moment she makes it clear to me that she has trust issues because her ex cheated on her, and she dumped him. I do everything possible to give her trust and the relationship progresses for months. She tells me that she would never do that to me because she knows how it feels. We have each other's access to our phones. She invites me to her country to sleep at her house and meet her family and lifelong friends. I introduce her to my parents. We travel together, etc. She bursts into tears one day thinking that I don't trust her when she's drunk partying. I see a notebook in which she wrote down what she was looking for in a boyfriend, and her first point was moral values. For both of us, our first serious relationship. Due to her studies, she has to go to the US for 3 months, and then return together to the city where we met with plans for the future and even to live together after 11 months of relationship. I tell her my worries about long distance regarding cheating and forgetting each other and losing feelings, asking her if she wants to take a break in the relationship or give us some time. She is very sure to continue with the relationship. I put honesty as a condition, that if something happens, she tells me at the moment and talk about it like mature people. We continue together. I even give her a satisfier for her birthday so that she is sexual satisfied. We both party a lot and meet new people, which is normal for our age. I go to see her once and everything seems to be fine in the relationship. After that, she tells me that she feels lonely and has a hard time making friends. Because of the time difference between US and Europe, I can't talk to her as much as I would like. Her semester ends, I go to see her again and we spend Christmas in our respective countries. And now on D-Day, in a video call, she confesses crying. She slept with another guy that she met because she was high and she was lonely. Those are her excuses. I never controlled her or put any restrictions for her to make friends, and I was willing to be more in touch in long distance. I still can't believe that the same night she came back from his house she wrote me a good night, I love you text. Obviously, her reaction has been to want to fix it and to forgive her. And about me, I'm still in shock because she told me yesterday. If it had been a drunken party kiss, I would forgive her, but sex and in a more or less premeditated way, I don't think I can. It doesn't bother me that she effed someone else, although the idea of having had sex with her after she had done it with someone else disgusts me. What annoys me is the break of trust, the fact that she was able to hide it for a month and a half, and if I hadn't asked, she probably would have taken it to her grave. I don't know if she has done it to me with others. Her word is no longer worth anything. If she can't hold a 1 month long distance without effing someone else, what kind of long-term relationship do I expect to have with her? It's going to cost me my life to trust again, because as I explained in the thread, I had reasons to trust her. I honestly do believe that it was a simple mistake on her part, and she is sorry, but she couldn't have done anything worse to me. On Tuesday we will meet again in the city where we met, because I have to give her a lot of her things. I have told her that I prefer to discuss the matter in person. What are your thoughts? Reader comment. Okay, it might seem harsh, but you are really naive about all of this and it's normal. Nobody teaches people how to deal with cheating. First, you have to realize that she is broken. You listed a lot of red flags: emotional instability, lies, deception, the cheating, etc. And what you need to realize is that some people are girlfriend, wife material and other aren't. You aren't a knight in armor that is going to save the princess and make her change into what you want her to be because of love. We aren't in a Disney movie. She won't change if she doesn't want to, and even if she is crying and all, it doesn't mean SHT. Seen plenty of girls cry and then a few days, weeks later they went back to their BS and the circle continues. The thing is, it's your first serious relationship. Use it to learn about what you want for a serious relationship. It's a bit stupid to compare women and car, but think of it like a car. The first car you buy, you don't know what you're doing if nobody is with you to guide you. You buy it. It probably is okay, but it probably has issues and isn't the car you really want. And you use this experience to buy another car that fit the requirements. Cut her off, learn and think about this experience, but don't let it consume you. Reader comment. Obviously, she doesn't have the moral values she wants in her partner. It's not something with a fine line between. You either have these values or you don't. It is impossible to cheat for someone who has this value. If you ask others, they also value loyalty, but they always have a valid excuse for cheating. Don't buy it. Alcohol doesn't make anyone do anything they don't want. It just encourages them to do something they want. And it's likely that you don't know the whole truth. Cheaters lie a lot. It may not a one-time thing. Did she say it happened just once and they didn't do anything in 1.5 months? If it's not a one with a random guy, probably it went on. On Tuesday we will meet again in the city where we met, because I have to give her a lot of her things. I have told her that I prefer to discuss the matter in person. What are your thoughts? No, you won't get anywhere by talking to her. She showed you what she is capable of. You can't trust her anymore. You would take a huge risk by taking your relationship with her to the next level. You don't want to go through this with kids and a mortgage in the future. Tell her that you changed your mind and don't want to meet her. Let her take her stuff and leave out of your life completely, never to be in contact with again. Reader comment. Gotta be honest with you here. There are 3 things that will always exist in this world: death, taxes, and lies. Everyone will lie at one point. Don't deny that, accept it. However, there's a difference when lying to save a life and lying to save their skin from getting into trouble, and there's also a major difference when lying to hide their corruption and evil. Sorry, this has happened to you, but move on. Some people are just unable to be saved unless they themselves pull themselves out